Howdy folks, it's Tall Turtle here, and I am doing a frame rate chasing video for you all. I was messing with settings, chasing my frame rates, and I decided, you know what, why not put this on video? So we're going to go over frame rates and my settings and watching these plans land while we sit here in New Jersey. We are going to fly over New York City. Why? Because it's super dense, and it'll give us a good idea of where frame rates really sit. I could go over rural Minnesota and get 1,000 frames per second, but that's not going to matter. If I'm going over New York, I'm getting 5 frames per second. It is super early in the morning before work. My windows are open and people are getting ready for school, and my wife is taking a shower. So if you hear any noises in the background, that's just family life. I'm just in my office waiting for work to start, so I wanted to do this for you. I'm playing with the drone camera right now. I don't know how to do like a smooth thing. I know if I hit like F6 and F7 a bunch that I programmed, and then it'll like slow down your camera like this and like this, and then you can kind of go around really slowly like I used to in X-Plane, something like this. I don't know. Get the idea, right? I could go like this, I guess. Anyway, so a couple things I want to talk about: frame rates and settings, and maybe I'll get into some camera stuff. But anyway, you can't see my frame rate counter because it's part of Bandicam. I do believe that the sim does have one, but it's in developer mode, and while some people have success, I think at this moment most people are screwing up their sims. It like stays on forever or something. So I am using frame rate counter, but you can't see it, unfortunately. As we are right now, we are sitting at 41 frames per second, pretty steady. Recording with my high settings and everything does take 3 frames per second. So, but that doesn't matter since I usually only play when I record. My recording frame rate is what we're going to go with. So we're sitting at 41, 40, 41. Okay, now it's going at 41 frames per second. In a simulator, you want to get between 25 and 35. So the theory is, if you're above 35, then you should crank up settings and take advantage of some things. If you're below 25, you need to turn down some settings. So that's the theory behind it. We're getting kind of far away here from the airplane with drone view. By the way, you can only use drone view if you're parked or in autopilot, just so you know. I did mess with some settings and my frame rate stayed really high, so I restarted the sim, so we're going to see how that is. But let's get in the air, and then, whoops, wrong button. There we go. I'm still learning all the camera stuff. Let's get in the air, and we will see what things actually look like. The plane was started, and I restarted the sim. Things are like half started, which is weird. This is going to run, because earlier it wouldn't run for me. There we go. My personal volume is off, so I can't hear it, but I see the tachometer. Alrighty, so we're going to get in the air, then we're going to chase some frame rates, and I'll show you my settings. Parking brake off, and full power. Flaps in this, because they're not incremental in a Cessna. If I push flaps down 1, and it goes all the way down. So I need to figure out how to do different flap settings so that I can not use them all. I want to be able to like a slider thing. Some airplanes is incremental, this one is a slider. I got to fix that, but that's not what we're talking about today. Alrighty, so this is what I like is my view. I preset my presets and program my presets to act like X-Plane, just because I've been using that for years. You can do whatever you want. You can remap everything. Just be careful that if you remap stuff that you don't undo things you need. So here we are. I got weather. It's not live weather because it's clear. So I got a bunch of clouds. My stuff is almost all maxed out. We're at 36 frames per second right now, which is way lower than when I was testing this before we started the sim. So apparently some of those settings only take effect after you restart the sim, but it doesn't tell you that, because I was getting 52 frames per second with my settings cranked. But now that I restarted the sim, I'm getting 38 now, 39 now. So I wish they would have told me that. So, oh, now we're back up to 40. That's because I have my airport detail cranked. Anyway, let's fly a little bit, get to New York, turn on autopilot so we can use the drone, and I'll talk about my settings here. Actually, let's just do the autopilot thing together. So, let's first of all get our heading bug set. We want to go to the, all the way to the east. Way to the east from where we are now. There we go. Let's go like that. Let's switch the comp so we don't listen to the radio right now. Let's come down here and we're gonna do turn on autopilot heading bug, and then vertical speed. Let's do 200 feet per minute for right now, and that should take care of everything. And then we can use the drone view. Let's just make sure this works. So we're still going to climb at 200 feet per minute just to get some altitude, because if we're too low to the ground, the draw distance looks fine. It's when you get higher, I notice that the draw distance, you can see it. What I'm talking about is when Bing fills in the stuff. So if we're really low, it doesn't matter. If you're really high, you can see the line around you is like a square where stuff isn't drawn in, and it looks terrible. So we want to get nice and high so we can see that. So let's let this take care of us. 200 feet per minute. That'll give us, we're at 1,000 feet already. That'll bring us up. Let's see what else we want to do. I think that's good. What are we at? 41 frames per second. Okay, so like I said before we started the sim, these settings I was at 50 something. Then I restarted the sim and now I'm at 40 something. So it doesn't say you need to restart the sim, and I might not even be correct, but that's what I'm noticing. So I lost like 10 or 11 frames per second after restarting. Whatever, that's okay. So let's get closer to New York. Let's actually get higher more quickly here. Oh, it didn't, what? How do I, no. How do I, what if I do Alt to hold my Alt, right? Yeah, see. I don't want to hold my Alt, I want to. Let's just select our, let's just select something then. Let's just do that. Let's just hit 2,000 feet. This autopilot's a little different than the X-Plane 1, obviously. The X-Plane 1 didn't have all this, it was vertical speed, but decrease altitude hold reference. Okay, so that wasn't vertical speed. It said vertical speed before, but I don't see where that is. I'll learn that later. We're not here to learn autopilot. We're just going to try to get above the World Trade Center here. Alrighty, so let's see. We're getting closer. I'm at 41 frames per second right now. Things are looking pretty good. You can't see the edge of where things are drawn, which is good. Now there's a little bit of haze. What we might do once we chase some frame rates is we might clear out the clouds so you can see what I'm talking about with the draw line. It looks terrible if it's too close, in my opinion. Okay, we're at 43 frames per second, so we're getting better frames as we climb up here. So maybe restarting the sim didn't matter, I don't know. Reflectors on the water are there. All this is here looking fantastic, super smooth. Alright, we're going to climb above the World Trade Center, then we'll go alongside New York on the East River here. Just because that's where it's more dense. And then we'll see. So 44, 47, 48 frames per second now. So what are we at for altitude? We are at 2,100. I told it to hold at 2,000. Didn't I? It says altitude 2,000 feet. Maybe my barometer's off or something. But that's 2,100, whatever. And something else I got to figure out with the weather is where in the world do you get your barometer settings? It's not on here. So I don't know. 1013 HPA, is that what this is here? HPA? No, that's MB. That's whatever. Stuff to figure out later. Anyway, so what are we at? 44 frames per second, 42, 44, 41, 44. And this is over New York City, folks. So let's see here. We're holding steady. Let's do the drone camera a little bit. I'm not going to talk about my camera key mapping because you can change it. I will tell you that on my Yoke I have reset camera, just because you can get lost really easily. So let's back up a little bit. Let's go up a little bit. Where are my keys? There's up, there's back. Looking around. 41, 38, 44, 42, 41. Okay, so when I did this before I started recording, I was in the 50s. There's 35. Back up to 48. When I did this I was in the 50s. Then we restarted the sim. I'm in the 40s. So something must change when you restart, but it doesn't tell you that. Okay, let's move this to the left now. I think I'll go this way, like that. Should we go like that? Maybe go like this. There we go. Just to go alongside New York City. I have some presets here. 48, 46, 48. Nice. All right, this is a good altitude. Okay, so let me get rid of these clouds a minute, and let's see if we can see what I'm talking about with where it draws. Yeah, see it out here? So you can see where it draws. Well, there's 50, of course, because I got rid of clouds. Let's go a little bit higher then, if I can figure this out. 3,000 feet. Up? I don't know. Increase hold reference, that's not changing anything. Is this are we going up now? Yeah, we're going way up. It's gonna bring us to 3,000 feet in a hurry. I just want to show you what I'm talking about with this draw distance thing, and then we'll go over my settings. We're at 52, 55, 54, 55. Central Park at 48 frames per second. Looking over the suburbs at 50 frames per second, 50. Clouds, heavy cloud cover brought it down to 40s, but that's okay. Anyway, was this still climbing? Okay, we're almost at 3,000 feet. I'm just gonna put it at 3,100. But anyway, yeah, a few things I need to learn unrelated to this video is I gotta figure out where our altimeter settings are without tuning in an ATIS. Maybe it's in the GPS, maybe it's in the map, I don't know. Map is V. I gotta figure out how to use it. Anyway, where are we at now? 53, 52. All right, we're at 3,000 feet. Looks like it's gonna bring us to 3,100 again. That's okay. All right, now can we see what I'm talking about with, let's reset the drone. And let's go back a little bit. Let's go, is it this one for up? Yeah, what's this one do? Nothing. Okay. My drone keys are pretty much default, but I got rid of some of the control and some control and alt modifiers just because it was too much. I also had to rearrange my desk, by the way, because I didn't use my keyboard hardly at all in X-Plane. I'm using it all the time with my yoke and my pedals and my mouse in this sim. So I'm using the keyboard for camera control, mouse for camera control, and some camera control on my yoke. Okay, so anyway, I have things set up so I have things cranked up so much you can't really see now. But at default, where's my mouse? At default, you saw this line like right here where it would stop drawing things, and it looked horrible at altitude. But I have it cranked up so far now that I can't see anything. So where are we at? We're at 54, 52, 54, 53, 54, 53, 54 frames per second while recording over New York City. Actually, I want to do something. Let's do this external camera. If you hold control, you can spin around really fast. I can't find a way to spin around slowly. 49, 51, look at that. That's amazing. Alright, so New York City, let's put the cloud cover back in just to see if we can slaughter this frame rate a little bit. Actually, let's do live weather just to see. It tells you all this stuff, but it's always like zeros and stuff. I don't know what it means. Okay, now it's calculating for the wind, adjusting for the winds. But we're at 50, 51 because it's clear skies in New York. I was just wondering if processing the weather would bog it down, but it's not. 51, 50. Yeah, okay, so, wow, it's really windy though. I got to figure out how to read the weather because this isn't telling me much, to be honest, right now. So anyway, but we're not talking about weather right now. We're not talking about autopilot. We're talking about frame rates, and we're chasing frame rates. So here we go, 51, 52. Let's do one more thing where we go back out here, spin around, look at New York, 55, 54, 55. Okay, my point has been made. Okay, now let's see my settings. So hit escape, and let's look at my settings. Okay, graphics, here we go, full screen, 1440p. Apparently my monitor doesn't do HDR10, so I can't change that. I guess this is based on your monitor. Oh, that's something else I'm going to say. Settings. I know there are a bunch of setting guides out there. I know there are a bunch of get the best settings videos out there, but this is something they don't tell you. Two people can have identical computers and your settings will still be different because it depends on what you're running in the background, what other software you're using, what AV software you're using, what recording software you're using, what Windows trimmed up version you're using. I mean, so even if you have identical hardware, two people are going to have different results. So this is what I'm using. Take it or leave it, whatever. Okay, so I'm using a 1440p monitor at full screen. Apparently my monitor won't do HDR10. That's why it's blanked out. Custom, of course, because they've changed everything. VSync, I go back and forth. I swear, some days it's better on, some days it's smoother off. A lot of people are saying having this on screws up their sim. For me, if I were to change it back and forth right now, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. However, depending on the moment, oh, a cat just jumped on the piano. Did you hear that? Depending on the moment, like earlier today, when I got up at like 5 in the morning and booted up the sim, VSync had to be on, but now it looks better off. So this is a toss-up for me, which means this is a toss-up also. Render scaling, for me, this is what slaughters my computer. When I crank this up to 200, I had 5 frames per second. So I turned it back to 100, I got a 50s or whatever. So for me, I leave this at 100. I think they say turn it down to 80 will work. Anything above 100 doesn't matter. I don't really know. I'm just leaving it at 100 for me. Anti-aliasing, high as it goes. Train, high as it goes. This is what draws that stuff in the distance. High as it goes, high as it goes. A lot of people are saying medium looks better for trees. I think high looks better for trees. See, it's all very personal. Which reminds me of a funny story that is completely inappropriate, but in context, it's hilarious. I might tell you. We'll see how you feel about personal stuff. So ultra, for me, high looks better than medium. Ultra, or high as it goes. Clouds, whoops. Ultra, texture, ultra. This is high as it goes. That's as high as it goes. This doesn't really matter to me personally, so I leave it there. I don't even know what this is. I don't care. All this stuff just left on high. Bloom is on, high. This stuff I turned off. Lens flare is silly. I do have generic models turned on because this can kill you. So we'll see. Based on how I fly with other people, I might turn this off. But right now we're just going to use generic models, which means we want generic there too, at least for now. Actually, I don't do multiplayer, doesn't matter. Let's do it anyway. So it'll still use people's planes when they're there and real life traffic when it's there, but it's going to use generic planes to save on a bunch of frames. And then this is on high for now. Once I start using glass cockpit, I might use medium, which is default, I think. I might use high, we will see. Let me save this screen since I did make a change, although it's not going to apply to what we're doing today. And let's look at some other settings while we're here. All right, moving on to camera. This doesn't really affect frame rates. Some things might, but if you just want to see what my camera settings are, here you go. You can pause the video if you want to. This toggle is very important for me, by the way. That way you don't have to hold your control and arrows and stuff when you want to do things. Let's see this. Yeah, whatever. This doesn't matter to me because this stuff here, because I did my own custom presets. Again, if you just want to look and pause and look, there you go. Sound, we went over this in my first look video. Traffic, real-time online, which has been awesome so far. It can kill performance, but it doesn't seem to matter to me. I have the names off. This is good for me so far, and this is good for me so far. I might crank up cars. 50 seems such light traffic you don't almost even see them when you're flying around and you look at roads. We'll see. We'll see if I care enough. I might not care. Data, we talked about this before. I did actually turn rolling cache on just to see how it goes because I've been flying only the same area over and over and over and over and over and over. So we'll see. I know I said before don't screw with this. So yeah, I still hold true. I know there are videos on how to screw with this, Unless you have to, don't screw with this. Everybody's breaking their computers. Just stop. That's what happens when you join the Facebook group for this sim. Everyone's breaking their computers. Don't touch that unless you really feel you need to. This one you can screw with, though. On or off is all you have to deal with. Flight model, not touching that. Miscellaneous, again, we talked about this before. Oh, I did change the pilots to default except for her. But otherwise I just switched that back to default. Accessibility, we went over this before. Developers, all right, so that's that. This was the biggie. And let's go back. Assistance, again, it's just, everything is on hard. Just like, you have to know what you're doing. And I'm getting text ready this morning. So everything's just on hard and whatever, we went over that before. Controls I'm not going to go over because these are personal to me. Just know that I changed like everything. I changed everything from camera views to whatever. Like I said, my keyboard I'm using for cameras. My mouse is for cameras. I have camera stuff on my yoke. I have a whole bunch of other stuff on my yoke. I removed a few things for jets from my yoke that I'll just use in cockpit. Oh, one thing I was going to change eventually is these things. Some of these notifications is nice to have at first, but they get really annoying. So I'll be turning these things all off eventually. Otherwise, that is it. Let's jump back out to the sim and fly around, and we'll wrap this up. Alright, so what I need to do is I need to go into drone mode and take a thumbnail screenshot, which I have to practice. I'm going to have to practice sightseeing. I'm going to have to practice taking screenshots. Let me turn off my frame rate counter, which you can't even see. And then practice some screenshots here. Let's see what if I go like that. Oh, like this maybe. And no, let's use this. Here we go. And let's do screenshot, which you can't do. Oh, here we go. I'll talk about this too. Not have to do the frame rates, but you can't do screenshots in the sim. You have to either use your recording software or print screen or alt print screen or Windows print screen or some other stuff. You can't take a screenshot in the sim, so be aware of that. There, that's gonna be a screenshot. There's your thumbnail. Alrighty, let's hop inside and let's see anything else. We talked about frame rate, chased frame rates. We looked over the settings. I briefly talked about cameras and that I just did all my own stuff. Squirrel has an amazing camera video. Watch his and then do whatever you want. So anything else I can mention? I guess I can super quickly mention controls. I have stuff on my yoke like gear and my power stuff and mostly camera stuff. I have my ATC on my yoke like this, so I can do that quickly. My flashlight, which I don't know how you move your flashlight because it's, oh, you have to point. No, I don't know how the flashlight works. I just know that it's whatever, on and off. Always rest is camera stuff. Reverses and brakes, of course. Parking brake is on there. Reset views are on there. The different view modes are on there. Toggling, that's a tricky one because if you're in drone and you go to exterior, you can't do the other exterior unless you go back to it from a different view. It's very confusing, so be aware of that. Otherwise, that is it for us. I'm not even gonna land. I'm just gonna fly around for a minute. I have to literally be to work in 2 minutes. I work from home, but I gotta get my work going in 2 minutes. So that is it for me. Where's my, see what I mean? That's supposed to be drone, but there you go. You have to hit it like 5 times. Super confusing. There we go. See, now I got my external. Whatever. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was helpful. And oh, I know you're all asking about specs. I don't even know. I have a review of my computer. Just search it. It's not that long ago. It's a 2080, not even a Ti. It's a 8th generation i7 or something. Everything is stock, air cooled, 32 gigs of RAM. Nothing really that special, to be honest, if you ask me. I guess it's, I don't know, it's not super high end, and it's already behind now that the 3080s are out and stuff, but it's okay, I guess. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it. I will see you very soon.